Hey everyone, welcome to today's stream. Surprise! This was totally unplanned, of course. But that's just because I just kind of felt like streaming this and stuff. Like, don't really stream a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, but I'm just kind of feeling like trying some new stuff. So let's just kind of go for it. Today we're going to just kind of be going through some Beau is Afraid. Some like panels and interviews right here to just try to find any good sort of footage for the video. I've already seen, as you guys know, I think I've seen all the movies that I'm going to see for this video essay. It's just that everyone except for Defending Your Life is a rewatch. So I kind of get where this video essay is going. I know what's coming, which is a nice bonus when you're planning this stuff out. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started here. I'm gonna have you guys off to the side here, so I might not be the most attentive to chat, but I'll be sure to check in every now and then. Let's see. Here we go. That is the one. Hey Jeremy, how you doing, man? Let's see. By the way, I really liked your part 2, by the way. That was a pretty solid video. So yeah, let's go ahead and look at the reviews panel. We're gonna go because I was gonna watch After Hours today, the Scorsese movie, because Scorsese and Ari are apparently like buddies, which you can see here. Scorsese wrote the essay in the Midsommar director's cut from A24. So yeah, they're homies. And because I am talking about 2 of their movies, Beau is Afraid and After Hours, let's just start here and check the chat real quick. Let's go ahead and get started here. I like how the credits are rolling in the background. Kind of spoilery a little bit, but very loud. I'm gonna put it down a bit.
Midsummer, wow. Most extraordinary new voices in world cinema right here. I've seen a lot of pictures.
Can you just imagine? Let me just look at Ari here, man. Like just look how that spot. I wish I could put this on full screen, but I can't. But I just imagine that feeling, dude. Imagine like Ari Aster is a fan of film. Clearly, he's a big Scorsese fan, and here's Scorsese just like gassing him up right there. You can tell like Ari Aster has like a shit-eating grin if I ever seen one, man. That dude is like stoked, and honestly, like Scorsese gave me props. I mean, it'd be honor from anyone, but I get it.
But this is I've seen it a couple of times now, and has everyone gotten over the panic attack at least?
Okay.
But it's
that's a clip.
Is everyone? But this is I've seen it a couple of times now.
Okay, no, let's go back just a little bit. Okay, so that's a clip right there for sure. That's going to be like an opening clip or something. All right.
But it's remarkable for many different levels. Besides, again, the second time I looked at it.
Let me go ahead and actually start back here as a new. Damn, I hate when it does that. Oh, here we go. Oh, dude. God damn it. Okay, so we started off here. Let's call this our new end.
But it's remarkable for many different levels. besides, again, the second time I looked at it, I seen the technical artistry of it.
You know, that's actually kind of something that I'm looking forward to when it comes to Beau is Afraid. This is going to be structured very differently from the Southland Tales video, because like Southland Tales was a very confusing movie. There was a lot going on, and I had to rewatch it just to know what's going on most of the time. I don't have that issue here. Beau is Afraid is relatively straightforward in terms of what's going on narratively, thematically, who knows. But yeah, like this one is going to be different because it's all like building up to one rewatch after I take everything around it in. So I'm looking forward to that second experience. And I mean, already, like, you know, planning ahead into it, given some of the research that I've done, like he's right, there is a lot of stuff in the technical things that are very interesting, very playful with its mise en scene. And yeah, well, let's just keep watching.
That's one thing I had the pleasure of knowing. The first time I looked at it, I didn't know what it was. Nobody told me anything about it. And I just went on the journey, you know. But the second time I was able to watch how you're moving camera and not moving it and that sort of thing. And so watching the language of it, which is,
you know, what's so great about listening to Scorsese talk is that, like, yeah, he's Scorsese, right? But he so clearly is a movie nerd. Like, this is what movie nerds talk about, the sort of minutia of like, when did the camera move, when did it not move? You know, like I like that, man. That shit feels like comforting to me.
So unique and so original. And I was talking to you outside about it because it's like a movie that I've been around a long time, so I see movies that split people right down the middle. Like, you know, people love it, people hate it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I forget the first. There was a big screening of the Cinema Theater in LA in '76, I think, for Barry Lyndon. And a few of us were there.
Dude,
a few friends of mine.
Scorsese's telling the story of his first time watching Barry Lyndon. Like, this is great.
People, well-known people, they got it. They were furious. They hated it. 15, 20 years later, they can't stop watching it.
It happens, dude. It happens all the time. That's why it's so crazy to me, like, when I see people like plant their flag in the ground about like divisive films. I mean, The Last Jedi is a great example, but if you want to take it further back, I mean, let's just take a look at Empire Strikes Back, you know, or Barry Lyndon, or even Heaven's Gate, right? Like, sometimes movies really are made for like a future audience, you know. And maybe Beau is Afraid is one of those movies. I mean, that's kind of the fun of doing this, right? Is that like we get to see, like, really put the movie through its paces in a lot of ways.
Something happened. I think in terms of the originality, when it's not original, you know, you go into it, it's like a bullfight, you go into it, and you're in the arena, and you're going to get gored here and there, because it's a matter of the risk taking. So
don't be surprised if there's like a director's cut of the Beau is Afraid video essay with like more stuff like this in it, because I don't think it's like necessary for like the final video essay, but I think it definitely adds a lot of context, interesting context and nuance to the conversation.
Unique and so powerful that there are very few filmmakers now on this level that are doing that, I think.
Okay.
But no, it's remarkable body of work so far, really.
Okay, so that's gonna get chopped down hella, but let's go ahead and just put that into the timeline. Like, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, no, that's a clip too. Let's move that out. Let's expand that out a little bit. Okay.
You know how I feel about your work. Well, the thing is that what happened was that we were at Lincoln Center, Ken Jones and I, we were looking at, it was when I had the Irishman at Lincoln Center.
You know what? To make this easier for everybody watching, I only need to watch this 2 tracks right now. So let me see if I can make this bigger for you guys. That's what I said onto her. Bad jokes, guys. I'm sorry about that. Let me see. Okay. I mean, I did my best here. I did my best. Let's Let's hold on. Okay, fuck it.
But this is I've seen it a couple of times now.
Oh, wrong one. Okay, over here. Oh, what happened? Dude, my computer's been fucking up on me lately.
He was the guy who was running the festival at the time, and it was a close friend of mine. We had a little sidebar thing where we started by showing the film by Hugo Haas, the kind of real grade Z auteur in LA in the late 40s, early 50s, and then showed examples of modern films that we thought were remarkable filmmakers. And we chose Sierra Nevada by the Romanian filmmaker. I showed a sequence of that, and I showed something else. I showed a scene from Hereditary. Christy Pugh, right? Yeah, that's it.
It's so interesting because this is like ostensibly like an interview between Scorsese and Ari Aster about Ari's movie, but like Ari Aster's barely said anything. This is mostly just Scorsese talking. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it's funny.
I showed a scene from Hereditary. We talked about how extraordinary the film is, these people who made this film, and in fact, you were in the audience. I didn't realize. That wasn't fun. I didn't know you were there. I didn't know you were listening.
What did you say there?
I didn't know you were listening. I remember Ken Jones said Hereditary, and I thought he was making fun of me. I thought he was like making fun of me. It was a joke. I got real pissed. So we talk about Hereditary next? I thought, oh, fuck you. Yeah. No, we were going to talk about Hereditary. It's right on the point.
That was actually kind of funny. Is that usable? Let me see. Nah. Oh, okay. I'm gonna clip that out. That was a good scene.
I got real pissed.
You know what? Okay, now this is now that I think about it, it's like a little bit too chatty, a little too casual. It's a fun detail, but
no, we were going to talk about Hereditary. It's right on the point. And seeing that again last week over the weekend. Wow. Again, remarkable for me, the way you compose and cut, and slight pans here and there, but very sharp. That sort of thing. Very precise. Very well. Do you lay this stuff out in a planning way before?
Here we go.
Maybe a stupid question, but yeah. I mean, especially in the last two, I blocked it all out in advance and shot listed the whole thing. I did the same thing on this one, but I came in with the intention to throw it away. So just have it in my back pocket. But I also knew that I wouldn't really fly with Joaquin. So I tried to never betray that I had a plan. And don't tell them. Yeah. My thing is just the opposite. I tell them I have a plan.
Okay, hold on. Let's just kind of. Okay, and I'm just gonna go ahead and extend this out just a little bit.
Slight pans here and there, but very sharp. That sort of thing. Very precise. Very well. Do you lay this stuff out in a planning way before? Maybe a stupid question, but
I think that should be fine if I just add some context here. I'll add a note to the clip. Let's see. Add a context. All right, cool. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. And except for my actors, it's a different thing. If I had to do something special with them, I beg their indulgence, really. If they can do it for me, great. Moving the camera a certain way, they have to be in a place, like move backwards and forwards at the same time. You ask these stupid things for them to do, they're amazing. no, I draw the pictures and now they become little drawings, but the reason is that they were, back in the sixties, it was so low budget and so little time to shoot. I wanted to make sure I had, as I was saying, it was very taken with Russian montage. And so breaking up the frame, perforation by perforation, so I wanted that exactly. And I did a lot of that for a while, raging Beau. But then it was countered with very long takes and dialogue scenes. So that's, yeah, that's, I know what you mean, because then, yeah, I think you're locking them into a certain thing. And,
there's just something about listening to directors of this era talk, like they were actually, Scorsese, he had a struggle later in his career, but like all these directors whose heyday was like in the 70s, or started off in the 70s, like hearing their stories of being able to work in that environment and make the movies they wanted to make, like it's interesting. And I think, like I think there's a little bit of this in every director, as far as how Scorsese is communicating how watching different movies over the years like changed his style and stuff. But it's just like yeah, I don't know, man. I just think it's cool to hear Scorsese talk sometimes.
I wanted to point out though that when I first saw the film, not knowing what the hell the film was going to be,
here we go.
The first thing that came to mind were these such a major shift from, it seems like a major shift from Hereditary and Midsummer in style and genre. And I gotta tell you, just over the past 30 years of reading a lot, and I think I fell in love with Don Quixote and Raffle translation. And great translation. And
you guys notice how like the lighting just totally changed? Like they turned the exposure all the way down. It was blown out a little bit, but now like the only thing that's kind of blown out is the light on Ari's forehead. Yeah, see, like look to the left, to the right, like you can see a total change. I don't know. I'm just a geek. I notice stuff like that.
Tristram Shandy. And it's really like these are like 18th century British novels like Tom Jones, Henry Fielding, picaresque things with this sort of, this sort of
hey, what's up, Troy? Yeah, it is the new face. Thank you for noticing. It's kind of nice one. It's a nice face to have. All right, hold on here. Yeah, let's continue watching here.
And I just wanted to know if you had any thoughts on that in terms of when you were structuring the script.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I just need to add context to a lot of this. Otherwise, we're going to be just having like a lot of Scorsese rambling throughout the essay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it is a picaresque, and if anything, that was the thing that excited me the most here, was what I maybe could do with structure and
picaresque. That sounds familiar.
And even just the way this film kind of peaks emotionally right in the middle, or past the middle, yeah, in the forest, and then from there.
That's so true. That is so true. It does peak in a lot of ways, because like the middle part of the movie, the second hour, like where it gets all weird and animated and in the forest, like that's my favorite part of the movie, and it is kind of the emotional peak, no doubt about it. That's interesting.
But no, I love Lawrence Stern and Tristram Shandy, and just that like stream of consciousness, non sequitur style storytelling, and just I always think about in Tristram Shandy the accidental circumcision. Right?
Oh God, yes.
Tristram Shandy's nose, I guess.
Wow, this is like the longest that Ari Aster has talked in this entire in this entire little panel they got going on.
Sort of like those testicles. But and of course, Don Quixote is something I always think about. I was thinking about that here too. They say it's the first novel, but it's postmodern. In the second book.
The second book, he sees himself.
Yeah, they read the first book. They read about themselves in the first book.
He finds some guy who's playing somebody's Don Quixote.
You see, like part of the thing about making essays like this is like, where do you draw the line, right? Because I think that's really important. I mean, that sounds at least important to like understanding what Beau is Afraid is going for. But I think like, is that something that I like? The big question for me is like, yeah, that sounds like something that's worth talking about. The question is like, well, I mean, I feel like if I put that in the essay, I'm going to have to look into that. But then again, that might not be a bad thing. I'm sorry. I'm just, giving my thought process out loud here. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's necessary to like understand the movie. Those kinds of things should be animated section was my favorite part as well. I love yeah, no, that was like easily the I ask you what really is a line. I don't know, man. I think the line is God damn it, dude. I had a fucking Barry Lyndon joke lined up there. Totally went away. But yeah, no, the animated section part was totally my favorite part of the movie, and it's interesting because the more that I'm looking into Beau is Afraid, one of the things that the thing that I'm gonna open up the essay with is with his whole interview. He did an interview, I think I forgot which magazine, but he said something about how he put a lot of details in it, like a lot of people just like um essentially like he's listened to what everybody says, like this movie stops working here. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person to say the animated section was my favorite part, but clearly he's aware of it. He's very much aware that the emotional peak of the movie is halfway through it instead of in the third act. And oh dude, yeah, Barry was great. Yeah, definitely. That fourth season. Oh, okay, we'll talk about that in a second. But what was I saying? Shit, I totally lost my train of thought there. Um, God, what was I talking about? I was talking about how, oh yeah. So in the opening, he was talking about how he's frustrated that people like say that it doesn't work here or there, and then they stop there. And it's kind of funny. That's what I'm doing with this video essay. I'm kind of taking it the next step further because there's a lot of things about Beau that didn't work out for me overall. But I think it's a movie that's worth exploring and a movie that's worth talking about. So like, yeah, that is going to be the opening. Like, all right, bet, let's do this. Let's go ahead and look into all this. And yeah, dude, Barry was a great show. I really enjoyed it. I remember I showed it to my ex now. And I was like, hey, look, it's a comedy. We're gonna have a good time and watch it. And like halfway through it, like I thought it was kind of dark, but it was pretty funny. But she said, I don't know, I got a bad feeling this show gets really dark and twisted. And yeah, no, she was totally right. By the end, the show was a totally different beast than what it started out as. The line is abstract and shifts over time. We need to overstep it every now and then to keep it from drifting too far to either side. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. There's like a merit. There is a merit to like movies, to like admirable failures, right? Because you do need movies take risks, and the thing is about taking risks is there's a very good chance you're going to fail. And again, like the first time that I watched Beau, I considered it a bit of a failure, but the journey I'm documenting is learning to appreciate, and this is part of it.
Yeah. So the first novel is already kind of cannibalizing itself and referring to itself, and so that was definitely on my mind. I think it's just so funny to mention Tristan Shandy because anyway, because it was definitely something I was thinking about, and then I know that what do you call it? Shandying, like a Shandying style of storytelling. He also, I think, Bernstein actually coined the phrase Cervantic, right? Yeah. I like to think of this as like a Cervantic film.
It is. And what I wanted, it's so important with new cinema, which it's very hard for me to see all of it that's out. And I'm still working on it.
Okay, so I think we're at peak out.
Is playing somebody's Don Quixote in town. Who's that? That's you. It's Don Quixote.
Okay.
So everybody's reading the book.
So the first novel is already kind of cannibalizing itself and referring to itself, and so.
Okay, I'm gonna stretch that out just a little bit further. I think that's gonna be it for that clip. Let's move on here.
Style of storytelling. He also, I think, Bernstein actually coined the phrase Cervantic, right?
Let's see, context. Tristan Shandy, PRX. RS, surrealistic storytelling. Okay. All right, let's continue on here.
Yeah, I like to think of this as like a Cervantic film.
Yeah, it is. And
oh yeah,
one of the things I think it's so.
Oh, 100%, Mikey. Yeah, I mean, I like to always the theory that spectacular failure is way more interesting than safe and mediocre. I agree. You know, a lot of people say that the worst thing a movie could be is bad, but I think the worst thing a movie could be is boring. You know, you never forget a bad movie, but you forget a million boring movies. The only type of editing I know how to use is use VCR, one of those dual wheel controllers. Man, I wish I was, you know, I missed that sort of peak analog era. I think that would have been cool to have been there when that was like the bleeding edge. And, you know, now it's more of a stylistic choice, which is, I mean, cool, but I mean, there's just something about the tactility that my generation is just never going to know, you know? And yeah, dude, like honestly, like and I say this as somebody who's made you know, my own short films, very super small, nothing close to like what Beau Was Afraid is like. But I mean, I'll tell you, man, like when you're trying to just make a movie on your own, you know, and you're the director and you're like the head person, you got to produce it, you gotta produce it, you gotta direct it, you gotta write it. I did all the music in my movies. I did all the editing. Like, you know, the only thing that I kind of regret looking back on my movies is I really wish that I had like a partner that was really good with sound. Like, I think the biggest problem with my movies is the sound a lot of times. And I was doing it back in the olds where we're like pissed that we weren't using tape and blade. Yeah, there's always going to be those gatekeepers, you know? But honestly, I think all those guys secretly just kind of wish that they had that shit when they were younger, most of the time, you know?
It's very hard for me to see all of it that's out. And I'm still working on, thankfully, I think, working on my own films, so it's hard to find the time to look at a lot of
You know,
stuff.
it's kind of crazy to think about that. Like, this is going on while Scorsese, this is what, like a year ago? So about 6 months before. So he was like in post production, probably for Killers of the Flower Moon right now. And that's interesting, right? That like he knows he did that movie and he's talking about Beau Was Afraid. It's so different, so interesting.
But I find, for me, I think what you're doing in terms of structure, I always try to find, I get excited
Here we go.
to find the time to look at a lot of stuff, but I find, for me, I think what you're doing in terms of structure, I always try to find, I get excited by seeing different ways of approaching the structure of telling a story, where you're not locked into it. This is, I say it all the time, maybe repeating myself on it, but for years now, people are talking about the first act, second act, and third act. And that's theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's fine. I'm just saying, but it's theater. It's a different.
that's the thing too, right? Like it is. I mean, I touched on this like I think on the last stream, but like to me, cinema, like to me, there's like cinema and there's film and there's movies, right? And to me, cinema is like when everything is working together, like when the editing and the sound and the production design and the directing, the acting, when all that is like beautifully mixing together, that's what cinema uh that's what cinema is, you know. And to me, like cinema is so much about what makes that medium unique to everyone else. And look, I love me some great dialogue. You know, I value all that stuff too, but like I really do think there's a lot to be said for just like the purely cinematic aspects of the medium. And honestly, that doesn't require dialogue. Honestly, like there's a reason why film was a, you know, very um healthy medium for a long time based on silent movies, and that's because ultimately the power of film is that it can like make the human face like super tall, and you can like look at it and you can infer it just as much as you can infer from someone who's like standing right in front of you. That to me is, yeah, I think that's what Scorsese is getting at here, and I think that's what, you know, Villeneuve was getting at with what he said about Dune Part 2 and dialogue, with two cassettes and a shitty fader master that as a kid. I think the closest thing that I had to that was just like watching. Back in the day, you used to like have to watch all your footage as it was being loaded through the Firewire cable. Now you just kind of set it there and you watch it like as you go on, you know. Straight up, I can imagine directing live TV. Oh yeah, no, that is a whole thing right there. Are the Barry Lyndons of TV. I like to think that the Barry Lyndons of TV production are more in the aren't in charge of stuff like that, at least, you know. And I'm watching an old movie pre-CGI and wondering how did they get this shot. Oh yeah. Oh, especially like I kind of miss that. Like I remember being a kid watching the making of Jurassic Park movies and like being so amazed at like seeing the sort of uh practical parts of it. Like I really found, and then like it's weird because after that I was fascinated by the CG part of it. I like seeing how CG worked in movies, but now it's like so blah. It's so like blase, you know, like it's much more interesting now that we are so used to CGI. to see practical effects in action.
Now, you could have a terrific film version of a play. It's not easy to do, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Good example though is, and it's weird, like it's not technically like a filmed example, like a filmed play, but like the sets are constructed like it's a play. In the Dustin Hoffman version of Death of a Salesman, where he plays Loman, that's a great play, and that's a great filmed version of that play, but it's not like a filmed play, you know, that makes any sense. It feels like a play in a good way, you know, when you watch it, but you know, yeah, that's totally there.
it's extraordinary, but not every film has to follow that structure. And so you'll find a structure like that in a piece of music, which is why I get stuck doing my music films. Because I try to find a way to be free in the
I get that.
films I'm trying to do my music films.
Okay, well, let's go back a little bit. Well, okay, I don't know how much longer Martin's gonna
I'm trying
ramble
to
on
find
here.
a way to be free in the narrative films I'm trying to see. But this is what you do here with that structure. You know, when you said you reached the emotional point in the middle, and then how did you get to that?
There you go.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, the forest section where he enters the play, the idea there was, I mean, all the way through, I kind of wanted Beau to be sort of like unknowable, but at the same time, you're kind of like you know his like, nervous system, right? But then in the play, the idea was then to kind of get to the heart of the film and to get to the heart of him. And
I see
what I
that.
found fascinating was the idea of have him have the most emotional release happen in a fantasy that's like totally unreal.
Yes.
And it's like kind of and so the effect that I was hoping it would have would be in a uncanny one where he's embracing these imaginary sons, but it's very real for him.
Yeah.
He's able to be an adult, which he isn't.
Yes.
And I was hoping to do something that would be both moving and alienating there, that it would be both very touching, but then hopefully there's always
Yes, it is.
the understanding.
I gotta get. I think he totally nailed that too. By the way, for all the flaws that movie has, that scene it's so fucking crazy because it's such an emotional roller coaster between like starting off in a very kind of vulnerable point where he's lost and trying to find his family, and it ends like feeling like something out of Hereditary. Like I think that works. I don't think anybody could deny that works. Like how many little people got stuffed into the sets to make this show? That's how funny it is. Sugar Shy is a great example. Pretty much every practical options. Yeah, no, you know, I haven't seen that movie all the way through, but I've seen like so many video essays about it. Like I gotta check it out someday because you're right. Yeah, some of the stuff they did there visually is fascinating.
This is false too. It's
I
like
didn't
not
know it
real.
was false. I didn't know until he said, "That's me." And of course, he's back there. He has no beard now, and all hell breaks loose, of course. But he's,
Damn it!
The understanding that this is false too. It's
I didn't know it was false. I didn't know until he said, "That's me." And of course,
Okay, just in case that's all I can keep from that, I'm gonna put that right there.
he's back there. He has no beard now, and all hell breaks loose, of course. But he's embracing his sons. He's biblical, and it goes on like that. And I look on TV the kids. Because they finally asked him, he said, when you die, if you have ejaculation, you die, how did you have us? And I was going to say, yeah. How did you
Okay. All right, yeah. I think it's right here. Okay, yeah, go back just a little bit.
Because they finally asked him, he said, when you die, if you have ejaculation, you die, how did you have us? And I was going to say, yeah. How did you
That's just a good moment. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not, but it's it's good to have those on hand. You never know.
So with it, but it's the play itself is quite beautiful.
Wait. Hold on. Wait, let's go back there a little bit. What was that?
Let's hear it. So with it, but it's
Oh, right there.
let's hear it. So with it, but it's
He said still with it. That's interesting. See, that's interesting to me because that's not the kind of thing you say. Um, this is not the kind of thing you say, right? Like if you're, well, first of all, it implies that at some point, like it was lost on Scorsese, which is interesting enough, but also I think it's really interesting here that I mean, clearly Ari Aster is a huge fan of Scorsese. Scorsese's done stuff for Ari Aster screenings, DVD stuff and stuff like that, or Blu-ray 4K stuff, whatever you want to call it. So it's interesting, like, because again, you don't say that, like, that is such a, and I say this, because like my friends didn't always like my movies, which is like fine. Like I remember I remember I was hanging out one time with my buddies, and like I was talking about one of my movies, and he was telling me that it sucked and all that shit. And then that I was like, nah, man. I do not demand people to agree with me for me to get along with them or to enjoy my shit. Just be cool, I'm gonna go ahead and just replace that with this, and we should be good here. All right, let's keep watching.
the play itself is quite beautiful.
I'm gonna add some notes here real quick.
I guess, but go ahead and talk about how you came upon that.
Okay, there you go. Oh, what's going on here? Wait, why is it?
Yeah.
Okay. The hell? There's no audio coming out of this. The fuck is that? Source? The fuck? Let me go see what's going on outside real quick, guys. I'll be right back. All right, back. Don't know what the hell's going on here though. Let's go ahead and load up another clip, see if we have the same problem.
In the background, like
Okay, all right, no, we don't. So let's go back to this. Okay. Here we go.
Question, I guess, but go ahead and talk about how you came upon that
So lost for words.
Device in a way. Suddenly comes upon people in the forest.
Right, where he's hypnotized.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The idea was just this machine that would create this whirring sound that would hopefully have the effect of also kind of lulling, hopefully the viewer into kind of, I don't know.
It does, because you go right with it, and you get on stage and you see the production design there.
Okay, here you go. I mean, honestly, like I think this is just mostly like if you just look at Ari Aster the whole time, he's just mesmerized at listening to Scorsese talk about his own stuff, not just but, or if you're trying to avoid copyright, but I can barely make out anything they're saying in the video from all the reverb, echo, whatever. It's not a professionally recorded thing. I have the volume maxed out here. Let me see. Let me make sure I have it maxed out on this side. Let me know if this is any better. I think the other videos are going to be a lot less of an issue with that. This is just kind of amateurly shot, so the audio is going to be kind of screwy. It'll be fixed in the essay.
Again, a beautiful example of fear. The actual some changing diseases, trees and everything turning its course. And maybe talk a little about your
Okay.
it's not to talk about say how you had the idea, but the decision was to go into animation. And how much you worked, did you work from with your animators together or was it something
Oh,
you
okay.
planned?
So he's asking about animation here. About how much he worked on the what the collaboration process was for the animation.
Your illustration in a sense.
Well, it took a long time to kind of come to that. At first, the idea was to shoot all of that as like another film, and like a film within the film, and then it just became clear very early on that we wouldn't be able to, we never had the money to do it, and for the time, and so then it became, then I thought, well, it should be stagecraft. It should all be stagecraft. And then from there, the thought was,
It's so interesting about Ari Aster, and when you sort of look at Beau, look at his other movies, you look at his influences, and look at where he went to school at. I don't think he went to school at NYU. I think he went to school at the Academy of God. It's the same school that basically is a film market, and essentially it's a school that is infamous for teaching people how to make like studio pictures, right? They're not a school that's trying to make you an auteur. They're a school that's trying to make you like a Ron Howard, like a journeyman, a well-respected workman director, And what's so interesting about Ari is that he's not that. You like, I can't say that like I could turn on like an Ari, like you could tell me, I could turn something on and tell you if it's an Ari Aster movie or not. Like I feel like I can do that with like Fincher or Scorsese or Kubrick or PTA. Like if I just like look at a frame, I could tell you like, yeah, that's a PTA movie. But with Ari Aster, I don't think it's that like visual. It's so much more about like the sort of just disturbing and let's just face it, like often just deranged perspective that he brings to cinema. Yeah. Let's keep watching here.
well, even that would be maybe too much. And so then I moved to animation, the idea of animation, and then can come back to stagecraft and decided, okay, it's stagecraft and animation. And we started looking at like these animation studios and it all felt very impersonal because it was.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
They're all different. And then I remembered that I had seen this film,
Santa Fe Art and Design. That's interesting.
this Chilean animated film by Cristobal Leon and Joaquin Costina called La Casa Lobo, or The Wolf House, which is unlike anything I've ever seen in my life. And I thought, I want to work with, like, these very personal artists and see what comes out of that. So I reached out to them, and they luckily were interested because they only do their own work usually. And I came to them with, this sequence that was very kind of strictly storyboarded at that point. Not just.
I think it's interesting here that Scorsese, I don't think he has a whole lot of I mean, obviously, I think he helped bring Ghibli to the States, but I don't think he's ever done any animation himself in any of his movies, right? Like, not that I could think of. And to be fair, I should see more Scorsese movies, But like, I don't think there's any Scorsese movies that I've seen or aware of that has any animation in it. And it's interesting because like this is the most, and I say this with all due respect, this is the most subdued that Scorsese has been throughout all this.
Shot listed. And so, in that sense, it was kind of already dictated what it would be, but developing like the look, that was a very collaborative thing. And they really, at a point, they really started taking over. And it was really just a matter of making sure that the style was cohesive with the rest of the film.
Okay.
And it needed to be this kind of.
So that's interesting that there's a good segment of the movie, the animated segment, where Ari kind of took a back seat there. That's Fascinating.
naive thing, but yeah, and we were thinking, I know that from the beginning we were talking about like Carol Siemens films, like Conventional Constructions. Yeah, and as far as the stagecraft goes, I know you love these films, but The Red Shoes and Tales of Hoffman was something that we were thinking about. And then
I like how Scorsese is just like such a well-known director. Like everybody kind of knows what movies he likes. Scorsese is responsible for bringing a lot of voices and a lot of movies to American audiences that otherwise probably would not have had that sort of exposure. So like his name is just tied to a lot of talent out there.
I mean, there was
He's like Guillermo del Toro. What Scorsese is to like the 70s, what Guillermo del Toro is to like the 2000s and onwards.
So many things. They're looking at, and there's like a moment where there's like silhouette animation, and I was thinking about the Adventures of Prince Ahmed.
I was going to say, silhouette one went from the, yes.
Yeah. So there are a lot
From
of
Paris with Love. I don't think I've seen that one, Mikey. Let me see. I'm serious. Okay, sell me on it. I'm curious. Never saw. You know what? I guess that's. I mean, yeah, but Hugo is like CG though, right? For when I haven't seen Hugo, to be fair, but I think Hugo is mostly like a CG animation, and I don't think it's like the entire movie either. Let's see.
But it was really, but I really tried to. Once we determined what the style was, there's a lot of like kabuki stuff, like Kinoshita, like Alamo,
The masks.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Hold on.
So from there, it was really about kind of.
My dog's giving me that look like, listen, you fat son of a bitch. Like, I need a fucking walk, dude. I took you a walk yesterday, man. What's up? Want to say anything? Oh, shit. Sorry, you want to say anything? Sorry? Want to say hi? Sorry, guys. I'll stop messing with my dog. That's not the most entertaining streaming material. What do you want the pets? I'll give you the pets. All right, I'll give you the pets. Let's continue watching this while I give my dog the pets.
With those ideas, and then having them kind of come back and we went back and forth a lot. I think I drove them nuts, yeah, I mean they're really remarkable.
So that's one of those beautiful things you've ever seen. I was watching the film the first time.
Is that it? Is that the whole thing? I think that's the whole thing. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call it there. With the exception of this last clip, let's go ahead and just take a look back at what we have so far. It's always fun to after you cut everything up to like just go back and see what actually makes it.
But this is I've seen it a couple of times now, and has everyone gotten a little panic attack at least? It's remarkable.
It's interesting. It's interesting when you're watching these clips after he kind of let it slip a little bit that the movie did lose him. He does kind of sound like a little bit, just a little tiny bit. I'm not saying this is exactly what's going on, but it does sound like he's just struggling to find the nice ways to talk about this movie. Maybe that's why he talks so much about other things. Who knows? But there's just something about this tone now after that clip that sort of changes things a bit for me.
For many different levels. Besides, again, the second time I looked at it, noticing the technical artistry of it. That's one thing I had the pleasure of knowing. The first time I looked at it, I didn't know what it was. Nobody told me anything about it.
Ari Aster's body language is always so interesting to me, man, because he's such a strong autorial voice, right? Like he is a voice, whether or not he's like instantly like visually identifiable. The dude is no doubt about it, like auteur, right? And he's just so like and I swear to God, like every interview I ever see with Ari Aster, he's just like, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, no, I'm glad you like the movie, bro.
And I just went on the journey, the second time I was able to watch how you're moving camera or not moving it and that sort of thing. And so watching the language of it, which is so unique and so original. I was talking to you outside about it because it's like a movie that I've been around a long time, so I see movies that split people right down the middle. Like, people love it, people hate it. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Let's fast forward just a little bit here.
the cinema might be into it.
This is a long lead up here. Let's just try to get to an Ari talks. Here we go. Oh yeah, that's where the camera shift happens. Like you'll see it like
So I just
fucked up my thumb, by the way.
I tried to never betray that I had a plan and don't tell them. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it is a pick a risk. And
All right, so I don't think I need to go back and watch all this. It's just kind of fun sometimes to just yeah, like just kind of watch it all back. So let's move on to the next clip here. See what the chat is going on. I'm not saying it's excellent. I'm just saying it's let me see. I was around playing fucking with French customs and blow up. What? Found it to be very mad, but teacher on Mikey Travolta is always fun, at least. I'm not saying it's excellent. I'm just saying it's bonkers. You know, bonkers to me goes a long way, dude. Bonkers to me goes a long way. I feel like there's like a journey that a lot of us go on when it comes to like our movies, where like everybody likes movies, right? And then like some people like movies enough to know who directs them, and then some people like movies enough to try to make them, and then some people like movies enough to like just what I'm trying to get at here, like the more movies you watch, listen, I think there comes like a point in every filmmaker, every film lover's, journey, where like we just consume amazing cinema. There was a good like my early 20s was just like watching like the classics, some like beloved, underappreciated movies, like all that shit. It was a good year and a half where like every movie I saw was like something that was incredibly like deep and moving and all that shit. And don't get me wrong, like those were I still love a majority of those movies. But like the thing is that eventually you do get burnt out on quality, you did get burnt out on like prestige and high cinema and shit. And I think there comes a point where like it tips over the other way, where like you've seen so much fantastic cinema that like you're like, okay, I know what fantastic cinema is. Let's see how fucking weird we can go. It's like people who play music and people who like don't view music very differently. And people who actually play music, like, and who aren't total fucking like genre snobs, and I see this myself as a former punk rocker, like punk rockers or metalheads and shit. Like, yeah, there's just like a different understanding of it. And I'm not saying that's like a thing unique to people who try these art forms or anything. I believe that people who just like love something like that, like whether it be movies or music or games or whatever, to that extent, it tips in the opposite direction. And I think that's why now I'm at the point now where like I love me some Vinegar Syndrome schlock, dude. Like if Vinegar Syndrome or Severin or any of these labels like sign off on it, like I'm totally there, or you guys as well. I mean, yeah, if what is it, like the French, what was it called, From Paris with Love? Yeah, now that sounds like my kind of shit right there. I agree to discuss it with Ari, but you are basically trying to analyze the psyche, and sometimes we don't even have an answer as to why are within our own minds. Yeah, that's true. But I think also like part of what's interesting about cinema is that like and I say this, maybe it's because like I've made my own movies, and like going back and watching them now, I'm not that guy anymore, and watching that, it's weird because everybody sees the movie, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, like God, where was I going with that? With this, we're like, yeah, Jesus, I lost my mind. Yeah, like okay, what I mean is that like now that I'm older and I've like progressed past a lot of the things that informed my younger self and stuff like that, like watching those movies, and as much as I do love, everything that I've done, I love it like they're my kids in a lot of ways. Like yeah, you come to understand that like in art in general, really, like let's just say like it's all art is just a canvas for the artist's subconscious and for their psyche and stuff. So like yeah, like you know I'm not saying that you could like psychoanalyze people through their works, but you start to notice patterns, or you start to notice themes, right? Like Tarantino with Feet, just use like the most pop friendly version of that, right? um when you watch Ari Aster movies, the dude clearly has mommy issues. Like you don't make a Hereditary You don't kill off an entire family like in the first like 10 minutes of Midsommar, and you don't make Beau is Afraid unless there's clearly some stuff going in there. And I'm not saying that I know what it is or anything like that, but I think it's interesting when that sort of stuff kind of fucking leaks through a little bit, you know. And I think when I watch my own stuff, like my own movies and stuff, what I see mostly is just like my immaturity, you know, like my lack of growth in a lot of ways. And yeah, and it's weird. Like and it's so weird because like I want to make another movie. I do, and I started to write Theseus, but like I got like 10 pages into it, and I started like looking deeply inside, and like it was starting to get like really emotional, and I'm just like, you know what, man, like I don't need to do this. I'm 35. Like I'm set, I'm good. I don't need to like be in pain to feel like I need to say something, but it's just what I know what to do. And now like I just want to make something that's fun and interesting and weird, and like it's hard for me to access that because that's never been my mindset and shit, you know. But anyways, enough about me. Let's get back to the topic at hand, you know. Netflix, let me see. First time I saw it was on Netflix. There's such a clearing customs in Paris. So F those, dude. Yeah, sometimes like going through that and then going through like I had an experience like that yesterday. I'm going to talk about it next week on the stream though, because that's going to be like part of the whole Church of Cinema thing. By the way, that's going to be a fun stream. I really hope you guys like that one. Like favorite bands. This band sounds like shit to me. Yeah, I know, isn't it great? Well, that's the thing though. Like I don't know. I feel like people's experience with music and movies are very different. You know, I think music is like a lot more subjective, but it's a lot easier to identify what's bad with it. Whereas with movies, it's like everybody like is used to like the 3-act structure, the studio film and stuff like that. And I guess you could say the same thing for pop, but pop's always had like a strong contention with other genres. Whereas with Hollywood, you just have Hollywood movies and everything else, you know? You know what gets you out of that artsy mindset of you to see movies like The Talented Mr. Ripley? You know, dude, I'm trying like I think that's why like I really started to value like the schlocky vinegar syndrome side of things, man. It's because like I want to know how to make that. Like I want to know how to make like a cheesy slasher movie. I want to be able to make my cheesy slasher movie, dude. That's what I want to do. And I have an idea for one. But like it's just every time I sit down, I'm like darkness. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to do darkness. But like, but I can't help it. It sucks. I really hate it. I really hate it. And all you want to do is just shut the fuck up. You know, I got another dude. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm there now. I used to be way more opinionated, way more obnoxiously opinionated about stuff, man. I used to be way worse about that. So I feel that there's a lot of times these days where like I like about to get into it, but I'm like, you know what? What's gonna come out of it? You know? Which one did you watch the new Ripley show? I haven't yet, but it looks interesting. Yeah, you know what? I haven't actually seen Talented Mr. Ripley yet either, but that's been on my like that one and Meet Joe Black. Like in my head, they're kind of the same movies. I know they're not, but like they're like from the osmosis at the cultural osmosis aspect of it, like that's how I understand them. You know, I think this is gonna be better audio here, so let's just move forward. Yeah, that sounds way better. All right. Okay. Here we go. Oh shit, he's actually like talking. Whoa. All right.
Enjoy.
Here we go. I'm actually gonna put this down on my end because it's kind of loud. So, let me know if it gets after this. Let me know if it's still too low for you guys because I'm gonna bump it down a little bit here. It's loud on my end. Okay. All right. Let's go here.
Because the thing that excited me the most here was
wrong one.
Maybe could do a structure.
I hate when that happens. Come on, just play. let me while that's going on, let me go back over here. Okay, let's try this again.
Thank you. It sounds like a lot of people want to pay. Maybe I should drag this out.
What is going on with this? Okay.
Thank you for being here. How many people have seen this film already? Oh, thanks for coming again. Let's see. What can I say? I'm very proud of this film. It's, for me, I mean, it's my favorite of my films. And I am just I'm so happy that it's like there now, like out in the world. What can I say to help people who haven't seen it yet? One thing I wish I said earlier on, not defensively, but just because I think it's useful, is that the film changes a lot. And it changes shape, it changes rhythm. And I think, the best way to watch it is to be open to that. So just go with it. It's very stupid.
It is.
So, yeah, don't try to figure it out. It's stupid.
Okay, dude, that might actually be the way I open up the essay. That is a good fucking clip. Okay, all right, let's keep going
here. Thank you for being here. I'm looking forward to talking to Michael afterwards. This is kind of the end of the road for the film, at least here for me, and so I'm looking forward to just talking and I hope you guys like the film. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so this is after the movie. Are you guys getting like a good live stream? Because this is not what I'm seeing on my screen over here. This what you guys are seeing is not what I'm seeing. What the hell's going on? Let me see. Let me put this over here. ¿Qué cosa? Let me see. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna remove that. I'm gonna put this. Yeah, present. What's going on here? Stop screen. Okay, so let me just try to present it again. Share screen. Okay, is that what I'm actually looking at now? Let me see. Yes. Okay, so now we're all looking at the same thing here. All right.
So happy I get to talk to you after that. Is it on? Is it on? Yeah, you can hear it? Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for being here. But also thank you for making original, bold, audacious, exciting movie making that no one else is making.
Hell yeah.
Everybody agrees with me. So thank you so much.
Dude, like honestly, okay, I don't want to say that's a bit of a backhanded compliment though, but that does seem like you know what? I'm gonna let that slide. I might go back to it, but I'm gonna let that slide for now. You know, something that is part of like making a video and making a video essay, that you are sort of like presenting a narrative and you are sort of telling a story here. So like when you're watching stuff for like to source it, you gotta have to keep stuff like that in your back pocket, and you have to make decisions because I haven't made the video essay yet. I haven't written it. I haven't finished watching all the stuff I need to watch or taking all the notes I need to take. So I don't know where the video essay is gonna end up at, but like I know in my head it could easily have like a whole thing where people are just gonna giving him backhanded compliments. That might be a montage. We'll see, but it's good to know that's there, whether I use it or not.
I was thinking at the end of the movie, in this incredible last image of this audience just filing out.
Okay, there we go. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
This audience.
Okay.
At the end of the movie, in this incredible last image of this audience just filing out. As we're all sitting here, silently filing out. I feel like another filmmaker might have had the audience ironically applaud him as some kind of final stab at redemption.
I could see that.
I love that you don't have them applaud. It's not. Was there ever the thought of that?
No. Of course not. It's it was important that they reflect whatever the audience is that will be watching the film.
Oh, that's interesting. That is interesting, because when you take that into consideration with what he was talking about with Scorsese with how the movie peaks just past the midpoint. There's a whole hour and a half of movie left after that. And Ari Aster, I mean, clearly, I think he knows very much what he is doing and stuff. But like, let's face it, that last hour is the worst. I mean, for me, in my opinion, the last hour is the worst part of the movie because it drags on. It's very much on the point, like on the nose. And then like it's surprising. It's one of those things like, and it's weird. I'll get into this more in the video essay, but I didn't like Midsommar for a lot of the same reasons I didn't like Beau is Afraid. There's a lot of artistry here. There's a lot of brilliance here, but it just feels like the ultimate message of both Midsommar and Beau is Afraid is very small. And that could be interesting. Like that's interesting sometimes, but sometimes it just seems like a whole lot of hoopla over, a whole bunch of hoopla over nothing. And the thing is that's what I walked out of Midsommar and Beau is Afraid feeling. And that's interesting because like if you watch the movie at the end of Beau is Afraid, the audience is bored. They are bored out of their mind. They look exhausted. And that's how I felt watching the movie at the end. Like I felt like bored and exhausted by it. So that's already fucking an interesting wrinkle right there.
People don't applaud. It's pretty thankless.
Dude. Okay. Hold on.
For Beau. Yes, things don't get better for Beau as the movie wears on. It's just one nightmare after another.
Okay, that's definitely going into the video. I'll say that is a good clip. This interview is already giving me some solid clips here. Even if it was they're pretty big balls, though. Let's be real here. If you know, you know.
This time watching, I really felt like this was picking up on so many of nightmares that I've had. It really is just kind of a litany of nightmares. Is this how? I want to talk about how the script first developed, but it's such a nightmare film. Did it start? Did it start from that kernel? Yeah.
Here we go.
Yes, but it really was
I keep cutting out of all this, but like I think I'm gonna have like a whole montage. There might be a whole montage about how like Ari is afraid to touch this movie because again, it feels like a very revealing movie.
Nightmares that I've had. It really is just kind of a litany of nightmares. Is this how? I want to talk about how the script first developed, but it's such a nightmare film.
I want to go back just a little bit here.
And it's such a.
Hold on. Okay.
Is this how? I want to talk about how the script first developed, but it's such a nightmare film. Did it start? Did it start from that kernel? Yeah.
I just saw this response.
Yes, but it really was I don't know. I guess my humor is pretty nightmarish. Like
okay, all right. So I'm gonna just separate that into two separate clips right there.
Yeah.
Let's put that down here. So there's two ways. There's what I like to call additive editing and subtractive editing. Additive editing is where you pick your clips here and add it to the timeline. And subtractive editing is when you go into the timeline and like cut stuff out or cut stuff around. It's a little editing theory with Ed. Let's see. Let's expand this out a little bit.
I don't know. I guess my humor is pretty nightmarish. Like I find worst case scenarios funny.
That makes sense if you've seen There's Something Wrong with the Johnsons.
And nightmares tend to be just,
I see.
Bad things getting worse. And so where did it start? I mean, it started.
Okay, so we're going to split this. Okay, so now I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much subtractive editing here. So I'm just going to go.
It started.
Okay.
Bad things getting worse.
Okay, so cut that right there.
Like
Okay.
Worst case scenario is funny, and nightmares tend to be just,
Oh, what happened here?
bad things getting worse. And so, where did it start? I mean, it started.
Okay, let's just go back a little bit.
It started. Yeah, it started with it started with this guy who. Yeah, it started with this guy.
Let me just go back just a little bit here.
Yeah, it started with this guy who,
Got that stutter.
like doesn't really deserve what's happening to him, and me finding that funny, and then 3 hours later,
I mean, so it has a Kafka-esque quality.
Okay. That's another thing that I'm thinking about, like the Kafka-esque nature of it, how much I need to dig into that. Because I'm going to read the trial, for obvious reasons. Preferred genre movie is will it stream for free with ads from dude, that's the thing. I hate ads, dude. I fucking hate. I am happy to pay. That's why I churn. I don't have like a consistent like streaming service. I churn in and out, but I will. I've thought about paying for Tubi. I haven't done it yet, but I already paid for YouTube. And don't regret that for a second. But I've considered buying Tubi because like it's great selection, but I hate ads. I don't mind them with TV. It's kind of inherent to the media, but with movies, I'm not my style, That makes sense from Ari, kind of like when Toby Hooper was confused that more people didn't view Texas Chainsaw Massacre as a black comedy in the 70s. Hence I haven't seen the second one. I should though. I know Vinegar Syndrome put that out.
I know that's a term that's used often, but it truly does feel like Kafka.
It is used
but
a lot.
in this kind of manic, I like to call Jewish comedy way. This feels like someone kind of ripped open my head and made it the exact movie that I wanted to see. So thank you. I mean, I know you didn't make it just for me, but I assume there are many people like me. I feel like After Hours, or Film Like a Serious Man.
Okay, so After Hours is going to be part of this video essay, but it's interesting because big surprise, I'll let you guys know here, a big part of the video essay is going to be talking to people of the Beau is Afraid subreddit. One of them is somebody who okay, I'm not going to surprise it, but there's people who take really, really close attention to Beau is Afraid, like an insane amount of close attention to the detail. There's one person in particular who was just taking it to an extreme, basically. And I'm trying to get them on the video essays because I think that's going to be an interesting perspective here. But yeah, A Serious Man came up also, and I don't know if you guys have seen A Serious Man, but that's my favorite Coen Brothers movie. I'm an atheist and all, but I'll be real with y'all. Out of all the religions, like I vibe with Jews the best. I get along with Jewish people very well, and I think maybe that's why I'm so like enamored by Ari Aster's work. Even if I don't like it does have that sort of like neurotic thing that is in a lot of like Jewish media. Hey Bevo, how you doing, man? Long time no see. I hate ads, but can ignore them where Tubi is involved. I love their madness. Yeah, I love their madness too. I guess that's the thing. I don't mind the commercials on the madness sort of stuff because a lot of it is schlock anyways. But at the same time, like I have a viscerally a violent reaction to ads when I pay for something, my experiences with movies, it's like an ad break in a song kills all the scene. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you totally get me, Troy. Yeah, that's exactly it. About the Jewish faith is that they don't want you to join. That's true. I mean, actually, no. Like, I know someone who converted to the Jewish faith and all that shit. But I do think there is something about like Jewish people, the Jewish culture, that just sort of breeds a very sort of let's face it, a lot of the best like comedians are Jewish. They just I don't know, man. I vibe with Jewish people. If it's got Jewish vibes, I'm down.
These kind of joke narratives where things just everything you imagine being bad, it's even worse than what you imagine. So it is kind of a subgenre. Were those films that inspired you?
Yeah, well, those are
Okay. So okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and just add context to that later.
Oh, those are just films I love so much. I mean, I was definitely thinking of Kafka, and I was definitely thinking about I mean, just wanting to make a film that feels like anxiety. And uh, and you know that ending for me is just sort of the logical conclude. Like it's just where it just that's where it goes. It goes straight into a wall. And
that's interesting that he just said it like that, right? He goes straight into a wall. He's right. It does.
yeah,
That's like a criticism, right? Like that's interesting.
I don't know. I would say,
You know, I know you guys aren't here to hear me talk about my movies and stuff, but like I think the reason why I'm so fascinated by Beau is Afraid is that I feel like what he feels about Beau is what I feel towards Uncut, Unaired Pilot, my last movie, where like I made that movie when I was like really into like death grips and I was like towards the end of my nihilistic like party days, I guess if you want to call it like that. So like it's a movie that's very angry and it's a movie that's very like very confrontational and it's like a not a very accessible movie to watch. And like I love that about Unaired Pilot. Like if you watch Unaired Pilot, like it starts off looking grainy as it is, but then towards the end there's just like a lot of digital noise and all that shit, and it's like supposed to represent like this trip into like everyday hell. And the whole idea is like even the camera cannot escape like the thing. And like the people who like that movie, like they get it, man. Like I remember, like I said, I don't in real life, I do not, just in general, but like in real life, like I don't ask my friends to like, you know, tell me they love everything I do or anything like that. A lot of my best friends are my best friends because they'll tell me they don't like my movies. You know what I mean? Like I love that. I love that sort of honesty. That means that I can trust your opinions about me, Um but I remember like the phone calls I got from my friends who like I sent it and they understood it, they got it, like they the most rewarding part of Unaired Pilot is that I had actors from Escaping a Spinning Room who after all the stuff that happened there, the fallout of getting my stuff stolen, they saw me kind of go through all that stuff, and it's a whole fucking ordeal. But I just remember like the two actors who were in Escaping a Spinning Room both said, dude, I didn't think you could make a better movie than Escaping a Spinning Room, but like Unaired Pilot's a shit. And I'm like, dude, fuck yeah, thank you. That means the world to me. uh Oh, okay. Oh, there it is. That's all I really had to say about my own stuff. If you joined, but they ain't gonna be knocking on your door to do so. That's very. Hey, you know what, dude? That's the line right there. That is the fucking line. I think that's why. I think like I've always liked that joke. I wouldn't be a part of a club that would have me, that would have me as a member. I think that's why I don't like Jewish people. They're like, you don't want to be Jewish, and I'm like, I don't want to be Jewish, but I kind of want to be Jewish. A true friend will like respect for a job well done, but what the fuck are you on with that? Look, I look, yeah, no, I think, and I got that, and I got, what's weird though? Another one of my friends, the friend who, and it's weird because Escaping a Spinning Room is like my most popular movie. It's the most well liked, most accessible. Got like the best notes. It has like the most views, and I'm very proud of that, even for how low it is after all this time and shit. But like one of my really close friends like hates that movie, and I'll be real with you guys. I think he hates that movie because that is a movie about alcoholism, and he's an alcoholic, and I pretty sure that's like 80% of it. I'm just saying, I think that's a big part of it. But like I remember when I showed him, the guy who told me my most beloved movie is my shittiest one, when I showed it to him, we watched it and he was like, "Can we watch that again?" And I was like, "Yeah, we can watch it again." So we watched it a second time, and he was like, "Dude, hold on. Can we watch that one more time?" We watched it 3 times in a row, and then halfway through watching it the third time, his sister, who was like another friend of mine, called him. Was like, "Hey, where are you at?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm at Ed's. I'm watching his new movie. You should really come check it out." And she came over, and we watched it 4 times. And like after that, like they were both just like, "Dude, whoa." Nah, dude, like again, Unaired Pilot. I totally, that movie, if I were to make that movie now with like a lot less anger and a lot less like of a need to like be provocative and all that shit, it would be a much more accessible movie. But part of the things about like when you make stuff, when you put stuff out, is that like you understand that they are reflections of who you were when you made them, and they're like little bookmarks, right? They're like when I watch Under Pilot, it's like a little bookmark to who I was when I was like in my late 20s and early 30s. When I watch Escaping a Spinning Room, it's like a bookmark into my early 20s and my previous movies, you know, all that kind of stuff. And that's sort of the beauty of it, you know, is that like you know, I've given up on trying to chase that as a career goal. I just want to make movies for fun at this point. Um, so like most people are not gonna watch my movies, and I've accepted that. But like for me, I'm glad that they're there because like I feel so separate from the people who from the person who made all that stuff. But at the same time, like that is who I was. And I think it's important to let go but not forget, you know? I think letting go and forgetting are two very different things.
And I'm always happy to hear anybody call it Jewish because it feels very Jewish to me. Yeah.
Okay.
This feels like someone kind of ripped open my head and made it the exact movie that I wanted to see. So thank you. I mean, I know you didn't make it just for me, but I assume there are many people like me. A film like After Hours or a film like A Serious Man, these kind of joke narratives where things, just everything you imagine being bad.
I mean, it started.
Let's just kind of go back here because I don't know if that's necessary. It's good to know that's there. If I need to bring it, I know that's there, but I don't think I'm going to use that.
All the way down to the mother being God.
Oh, whoa.
It feels very Jewish to me.
Wait. Hold on.
The logical conclusion, like it's just where it just.
Let's go back a little bit here. All right, let's go on here.
And you know that ending for me is just sort of the logical conclusion. Like it's just where it just, you know, that's where it goes. You know, goes straight into a wall. And yeah, I don't know. I would say, and I'm always happy to hear anybody call it Jewish because it feels very Jewish to me.
Oh
yeah, all the way down to the mother being God.
Dude, that is illuminating, right? Like given what Beau is afraid it's about, the fact that he's literally saying the mother is God, like I mean, like I said, dude, like the big fun of this video essay for me is that it's about rewatching it once. It's about like rewatching this movie a second time, but like building, that's like the whole narrative of this video essay. All the work that I did to be prepared to rewatch this movie. Including this stream, which I'm glad I'm streaming now. But like yeah, like it's so fun, man. Well, if I think if you love movies, you should at least make one video essay in your life, because to choose a movie and to just focus in and dig into it like this, it makes you appreciate stuff differently. Like I know after I made the Southland Tale videos, I haven't seen it yet, but like that movie's lived rent free in my head ever since, mostly because like I'm in awe at the sheer like scope of it, you know, especially for like a movie with that budget. The sheer ambition of it is fascinating, you know. It makes you wonder, did every era of history have its own schlock that got lost to time? Oh, I'm sure it did. Yeah, definitely. And it's weird because some of that schlock turns into art, right? I mean, look at Shakespeare. Shakespeare was essentially writing soap operas in his time, but with, you know, centuries and centuries, it became high art. It became probably like the peak high literature, you know. I like Beau was Afraid, but can't imagine wanting to watch it again. That's the thing. Like I watched it. It came out in 3 days. It will come out a year ago. We're 3 days away from the 1 year anniversary of Beau was Afraid, and I didn't like it. You know, I didn't like it that much, but I haven't been able to stop thinking about it every now and then since. So, and also I just wanted an excuse to buy it on 4K if I have to be real with you guys. I mean, that's like 30% of it, but also like I just I wanted to do a second video like the Southland Tales one, but I didn't know what movie to pick, and I think Beau is Afraid is probably the best option for like a follow up in that style.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about the journey of the script? Was this was a long gestating personal project? I know that, but you know, when did you first put pen to paper and
Here we go.
start writing Beau is Afraid?
I mean, it started. You know, it. So the beginning is pretty banal. But I had just gotten out of AFI. I was living in
AFI, the American Film Institute. That's the film school he went to. Okay. All right. Yeah.
in LA. I had to move from my apartment, and I had 2 days before I had to leave, and then I realized, oh, this is a potential location. Those are hard to come by. I don't have any money. So I just thought of I whipped up like a script really quickly to shoot in one day with friends. And you know, the short is like, you know, it was just an exercise. It's not very good, but in that short there was a scene where the main character, who, you know, he's on his way out the door, he's going on a trip, he forgets some floss, leaves the key in the door, grabs the floss and comes back, and his keys are gone. And I liked that as the catalyst for an adventure, and it from there, it just kind of, I don't know, from that I like knew what the world was, and I knew tone was, and that just stuck with me. And I wrote a version of this over 10 years ago.
I'm thinking about reading that for this essay too, but let's see what he says about it.
With the same title, very different film, but the same, yeah, but spiritually the same, and the humor was the same. If anything, I think that might have been, it was wackier and probably even funnier, but also, I would say like the sadness was missing. And so anyway, I tried to get that film made, couldn't get it made.
You know, that's interesting, right? Let's put that into context here, because he says that, and I think, yeah, like the draft of Beau is Afraid that's online right now, I think it's from like 2010, 2011. What that says to me, right, is that in 2010, 2011, he wanted to make this movie be a wacky, fun, good time, and it took 10 years of pain, of adding pain into it. That means he lived with this thing in the place of pain in his heart for 10 years while he was developing it, and that's fucking fascinating. I love when directors are able to just be like very upfront about stuff like that, you know. Shakespeare plots are often pulpy, but his language is so beautiful. Forcing kids to read Shakespeare doesn't do his works justice. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I just think that like I wish, the only experience that I have with Shakespeare directly is one of the actors from Escaping a Spinning Room, Mikey. He was in Shakespeare in the Park. So I went to go see that back when he was doing that. He also did The Shape of Things. My God, he was so good in that. You know, Michael Sudo, he's a really cool dude. And he's a fucking amazing actor too, for real.
Everybody I sent it to like sat me down to say, like, you know, like, look, this is all, you know.
I think I talked about She's So Quirky, my like super dark twist, like twisted rom-com script that I wrote when I was in like the depths of my depression after I got my shit stolen. And like I remember when I sent that out to people, like, yeah, I had that same response. Like Felipe from Escaping a Spinning Room sat me down and was like, dude, what's going on, bro? Are you all right?
Good and well, but
there's a part of me that wants to put out She's So Quirky somehow. Like if I ever get a big enough audience that ever wants to read it, I'll put it out. But like there's no fucking way I'll ever make that movie. That took my heart and soul out from my body right there.
Do you just not want to make a movie?
Dude, it's so funny. That's what I came. I think if you go back to my review, I say that like, why didn't you just go to therapy?
So I wrote other things. Those didn't move either. Then I said, "Fuck it, maybe I'll just write a horror movie." That moved.
I assume you're talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hereditary. And then after Midsummer, I was thinking about what was next. And I wanted to come back to Beau world because it always made me laugh. And it always really felt like me. Like like this film, I don't know, it just feels like me to me. Whatever that means.
That's a cool. This whole thing was gold. I'm loving this interview, by the way.
And yeah, so it was just about let's do this thing that I wanted to go back to it and kind of and quarantine. COVID was happening. I was in quarantine, and it gave me time to kind of swim around in this. And the film was always like designed to be a picaresque, but I think in that time I kind of wanted to like just live in that tradition and think about it and go back to a lot of the books I loved that were doing something like this, like Candide and Don Quixote and Tristram Shandy and then certain writers like Borges and
I think I might have to get into some picaresque literature, and I don't even know what the fuck that is. That's the fun of a video essay, guys. You just have to do shit like that sometimes and expose yourself to new shit to make a good video.
and Kafka and the Greeks especially.
There's the sense of you brought the Greeks, the sense of
Okay, yeah.
the sense of there's the sense of
Okay, I'm gonna call that a clip. That is a long one. How long does that go on for? From 1320 up to 1704. I'm gonna have to clip that. I'm gonna have to cut that fucker down. But yeah,
because you brought the Greeks, the sense of predetermined tragic fate hangs over this whole film. I think that I noticed a lot more watching it the second time. That most of what we see is preordained. There are images that I don't think you can pick up on the first.
Yeah,
time.
I mean, if you guys want to keep all your surprises for my video essay, don't do this. But if you're a little bit more explorative, go on the Beau is Afraid subreddit, and it's like it's a hive mind like all subreddits, but this is sort of the understanding that people are coming to. And again, like I really hope to get some people from the subreddit on the video, because some of the stuff that they've dug up, some of the connections they've made, is what made me want to make this video. Honestly, like if I didn't subscribe to that subreddit and see all the digging that people are doing into the thing, I wouldn't be making this video essay. But after being exposed to a lot of people's theories and ideas, like there's a lot there to be talking about. Sounds more like a coming of age or 90s rom-com. It's She's So Quirky is like your typical like indie manic pixie dream girl sort of story, where it's about like a dude who is very naive and very boring and like is lacking in experience in a lot of things in life, and he falls in love with a woman who is a serial killer and is on the run from the law. And the entire movie is sort of like this constant like back and forth where we see these two people. Like, by the way, that movie would have been over 3 hours long. I think the script was like 187 pages by the time it was all done. It would have been, again, I was way too fucking pretentious on that, to be fair. But yeah, like it was a 3 hour long movie because like I really wanted to like make the audience sit with this couple on their journey as they fell in love. Like the whole trick of that movie to me as a director, what She's So Quirky, was to sort of constantly play with the audience, being like, this is who she is, this is who she was, right? And the idea is to sort of like have every scene kind of build on the tragedy of the previous one, so that like the midpoint of the midpoint of the movie is where obviously she's a serial killer, like she's killed a lot of people, a lot of them have fought back, and she has a lot of like scars all over her body, and in all her flashback scenes she's always in long sleeves and stuff. And like in the movie on the Thanksgiving, the midpoint happens on a Thanksgiving dinner where he takes the girl to his family to meet them, and everybody's weirded out by her and he can't figure out why. And then a big blow up happens because he lashes out at his family and stuff. And then after that, she finally tells him the truth. And like in the script, I say like in the blink of an eye, he's the ideal version of her. And then like he instantly sees all the scars on her body, and that's like him seeing her for who she was. I mean, there's like a lot of stuff in that movie that like I'm so fucking proud of. I'm telling you, it's the best thing that I've ever fucking written. But yeah, I'll never fucking make it.
That you have on televisions. And I don't want to do it like the Easter egg thing, but I do implore everybody to watch it again if this was your first time, because there's a lot in there that I hadn't noticed. So you're placing things throughout.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I saw the film as like a hall of mirrors. And I think
Oh, let's just go back.
I mean, I saw the film as like a hall of mirrors. And I think I hope that if you go back to see it again, and it sounds like some people saw it again today, that you see those reflections more, and there's like just those permeations. And there are also all these like, I mean, I don't even know if I should say this, but all these possible other stories that I kind of buried in the background. Like, I won't. How much should I say? I mean,
Tell us at least one.
I'll say one. I'll say one because nobody's picked up on it, which made me kind of sad.
Here we go.
On the cruise ship, in
Jeez.
the background of almost every shot,
Jeez.
you'll see a man
Yeah.
that's like basically looking at the lens or looking at Beau, and that it tickles me what that could mean, and I know what that means, what it could mean, and what maybe like whether that suggests that a lot of the blame that Beau puts on certain people is maybe like deliberately, or like maybe not. I mean, not like knowingly, but like his brain has displaced. Anyway,
Interesting.
that was just something that was making me laugh because I kept putting that guy in the background, and I was just waiting for crew members to come to me and maybe
that's what's
ask
so,
about him, and
okay.
nobody did.
Okay, here's what's so interesting to me about that comment, right? Is that like he on the one hand, right? On the one hand, he's talking about how this is a reflection of his psyche, that he feels like he really sees himself like this movie is the most like personified version of who he views himself to be. But he's also asking the audience to not take the movie seriously, right? That's like, I think that's sort of the interesting thing about Ari Aster when it comes to Beau is Afraid, is that like he made a movie, whether he likes it or not, that's very revealing, right? I think it's hard to walk out of Beau is Afraid not feeling like you understand Ari Aster as a person a little better. And I think that sort of amplifies the more familiar you are with his previous works. It starts to paint a picture, right, as to what's going on in this dude's head. But like at the same time, I think he's very self-aware of that he did that, and I think he's trying to manage that, because he's constantly being like, it's stupid, don't think about it. Yeah, so I spent 10 years putting pain into this movie. Let me see. Have you ever seen Dinner in America? It doesn't go anywhere near that dark, but I could see some parallels from that description. Well, the movie I'll just tell you guys how the movie ends, because again, I'm never going to make it. But the whole thing of the movie is that like they love each other, right? And the big thing about his character is that he feels very, very alienated from everyone, and including his family. And she, after being found out, goes into this really depressive state where she starts to starve herself. And when you starve yourself, you start to hallucinate, right? And so she hallucinates that he tells her to set him free, right? And then his head, and in her head, because she is a serial killer, that means that he wants her to kill his family. So the movie ends with the big climax being um her murdering his family. And like the ending of the movie, the actual fucking ending of that movie, it picks up like 10 years later, when he's trying to like pick up the pieces, and like he's grown from that, right? Like before that, he's kind of a loser who just kind of does whatever he's told to do. But after he loses his family, like that lights a fire under his ass because he wants to honor them. And he wants to like never let them be forgotten. So he goes back to school, and then like the big twist ending is that like his father pushed him to be an accountant. But after like the murder of his family, he goes back to school to become a psychologist to make sure that what happened with his ex-girlfriend and his family never happens to anyone again. Um, so yeah, that's how dark I went, which is I think about as dark as I never went that dark again, you know. And no, I mean I think even Hereditary. I think it's interesting that Hereditary is about a mother, and Beau is Afraid is about a mother that you never see or barely ever see, you know. Clearly, so at least yeah. I think well yeah. Let's continue watching here.
It's just too subtle. It's too subtle.
It's there. It's there. It sounds like you saw it, or I saw you reacting. But yeah, and just I guess to go back to the picaresque thing one more time, just to say that the shape of the film was I think the thing that was like driving me the most as I was wanting to make this. And I mean, I'm like a little bit too aware of the reception in some ways. But I think it's been like the thing that's been the hardest for some people is the way that the film changes, and the way that the film kind of demands that you go with it. I mean, especially when you get to the play sequence, which for me is when you move all the way into Beau, and that for me is the heart of the film.
Yeah.
But and even I mean, I watched it again tonight, and there is like, I mean, there's a perverse like joy that I take in knowing when you're in that play that there's an hour left after this.
Again, you see, this is what makes Beau is Afraid such an interesting movie. It's hard. Okay, it's not that it's not good. I think it's a good movie. I think it's, how do I explain it? I think it's interesting that Beau is so that Ari Aster is so willing to make a bad movie. You know, like he's so like willing. I think maybe bad is a strong word, but I think he's willing to alienate a shit ton of people. Let's put it that way. To make his art, and I respect that. I respect the shit out of that. You know, I mean, I love my comfortable, familiar stuff as much as the other guy, but what I really love is like just fucking absolute bonkers weirdos, dude. Like Lars von Trier, Michael Haneke, these deeply like nihilistic to the point where like sometimes it's just like absurd. You know, like Seventh Continent, it's a fucking absurd movie in my opinion.
and it doesn't get better for him. And he doesn't change, which I think is important, because I think that's like an expectation people have. I think I have it. Like I have it when I watch a film. And for me, it was very important that Beau not change. I mean, that's what it's really about. But anyway,
The shape of the film is.
God damn, you see what I mean there, dude? Like he's just said it right there. You know, he just said it right there. That's something that's very like personal and shit.
It's obviously so important, but I love talking and thinking about the shape of the film. I think Tarantino's really, really great with the shape of the film. I think Spielberg's really great with the shape of the film, but often because people expect movies to, move a certain way or do a certain thing, the first time you see something with a different shape, you risk audience rejection of it. I remember I talked with you before. AI is a great example. Everybody I know when we came out said, "Oh, I thought it was over," but then it kept going, so it didn't work. And then everyone I know saw it a second time and said, "Oh, but that's the whole movie. The whole movie exists in the last 20 minutes. It doesn't exist without it." I feel a similar thing's happening with Beau. Like it reaches a certain point, and you might think that it's headed to some conclusion because of what you expect with film, but the movie itself hasn't gotten anywhere close to where it wants to go and where it has to be. So I applaud you for sticking to your guns on that, because I'm sure along the way many people are saying, cut this, do this, but it really goes about as far as it could go.
I did fight for it, yes. It was a long fight. And to A24's credit, they let it be this. And there was a lot on the line.
For $35 million.
And I'm grateful that it is this. And you know how I feel about AI. I love AI very much.
AI is a story about a boy and his mother. Just saying, just putting it out there.
Yeah.
So
Another mother son.
there
Odyssey.
are similarities. A son trying to get home to the mother who doesn't want him.
Good point about Ari. There are many examples of movies or music where the creator may not have necessarily wanted to make it. They just had to. It would eat them alive to not get it off their chest. Yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of the struggle for, yeah, like you said, I think it's a lot of artists struggle right there. The film makes the viewer feel something, even if it's anger, then they have succeeded. Too many films are just gossamer today. So when the film gets a reaction, it should be celebrated. No, yeah, I agree, 100%. The worst thing a movie can be is boring, not bad.
Or maybe in this case, wants them too much. So, okay, I'm going to go back to what you said.
Oh, I want to go back here because I think he said it right there too, right? All right.
I did fight for it, yes. It was a long fight.
I'm going to expand that out just a little backwards because he does get into, yeah, I'm going to say about right here.
Getting me the most is I was wanting to again tonight.
It's obviously so important, but I love
not change. I mean, that's what its
film is.
All right, here we go. Let's start from here. I would like to know what that fight must have been like with a studio like A24 to have to fight for this movie.
So, okay, I'm going to go back to what you said about this being written a while ago and then coming back during COVID, because I feel like American movies haven't exactly, we haven't really had that great American movie about COVID yet. And though you wrote this a long time ago, I really feel while watching this, you capture something about the experience of isolation and the feeling that we all have of not wanting to leave the house and having outsized fears, ridiculous, incredible satirical fears, as in the first hour of this movie. I'm just wondering if your perception of that changed from when you first wrote this to when this was finally in production, which was effectively during the pandemic when you first started shooting.
Like my perception of
the story of someone within this isolated state. It's the first hour of this movie, in a way, struck me as a viewer as sort of like a COVID allegory.
That makes
Even
sense.
if you never attended it that way.
yeah, what's funny is that was the
I'm going to
bad
go
thing of the story.
This movie, in a way, struck me as a viewer as sort of like a COVID allegory, even if you never attended it that way.
Yeah, what's funny is that was the thing that really didn't change at all. The big changes were really, the cruise ship wasn't there. The final sequence was not here. The final sequence was new. And then the Orphans of the Forest, that there was like a forest section, but there was no play. They weren't the theater troupe. And they were really just like a cult.
Midsommar.
Of like celebrity assassins or something. It was a different thing. And it felt to me like when I went back to it, rereading it, it was like, okay, this thing feels episodic and it feels like this section, which was for me actually the funniest thing in the script and in the first iteration. This is where this like needs to do something very different. Also, after Midsommar, it's like, all right, enough of the cults already.
I told you guys.
So
Also, I think it's interesting. I don't know if I saw like a year ago, so I can't remember this, but I think it's interesting that he refers to the people in the forest as orphans, right?
even though there is, I think, an element of parody here, like this film almost. I mean, even though I wrote this before I wrote.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's really bad.
When I returned to this, I saw like, okay, if I'm going to go back to this, I kind of want to back to some of these themes that maybe feel familiar in some ways. Like I'm going to stick like dynamite into this thing, and I'm going to like blow it up and have the movie kind of like eat itself in its own head. And anyway, so in some ways, I've been saying this film like feels like the end of a certain road, but then I realized recently I actually have another movie that's like it just goes right back into this same wormhole. But yeah,
I wonder if that's Eddington, because I think he actually wrote Eddington, his next movie, during lockdown. I think that was a totally fresh script too. I don't think that was based on anything.
I'm not complaining about that. More, please. Okay, so I want to talk about something about filmmaking, and I maybe these things are hard to talk about, hard to answer, just because it's such a precise thing to talk about. But I know that you're editing for a long time. It's a very long process getting it down to where you want it, and watching the audience, it feels it's so gratifying because you get such a response out of people. It feels perfectly fine-tuned at just the exact second for every little shock, every little scare, every laugh. Can you talk at all about that process? This first hour, I actually struck me this time as being very Hitchcockian in the way that you have the audience sort of in the palm of your hand. And you're always having them look at the exact right thing. And the eye lines are always kind of in that, what Beau's looking at, we're looking at. When someone looks at Beau, we're looking at Beau. I don't know if this is, basically I'm just praising your filmmaking, but I do wonder if you can all talk about that idea of kind of, like they would say, play the audience like a piano. Like, are you constantly thinking about that audience reaction?
well, I mean, you're talking about point of view, which is all it ever is, really. I mean, yeah, no, I agree with what I just said. I mean, and well, thank you. And I don't know what I could say about Hitchcock that would be, that would be anything new that hasn't been said about him, but he's the best. So I appreciate that. And he is, I think, I mean, yeah, I mean, God, what do I add about, I mean, when I say that everything is point of view, he's the filmmaker that like really found like he kind of coined like a vocabulary that was so like trusty that there's kind of no breaking from it if you're making a certain thing. I don't know. It's very, I mean, all my favorite filmmakers tend to be Hitchcockian. Like I think the Coens are like absolute disciples of Hitchcock.
I can see that.
Yeah,
So
so
I don't think it's talked about enough. That's kind of why I bring it up. I know that sounds silly that we all say Hitchcockian. We don't really talk about what that means. We're not just talking about the creation of suspense. We're talking about perspective.
Okay, let's go back a little bit here. Okay, so I'm gonna put that there. I'm gonna bring it out just a little bit before that too, because there was a good talk just before that clip.
I don't know what I could say about Hitchcock that would be
there you go.
Like, that would be anything
That's kind of why I bring it up. I know that
Yeah.
sounds silly that we all say Hitchcockian. We don't really talk about what that means. We're not just talking about the creation of suspense. We're talking about perspective. We're
Yeah.
talking about the way that we identify what's happening on the screen. And I feel like
Rhythm.
completely, and this movie
Yeah.
has odd rhythms, but you're always in lockstep with what's happening on the screen. I think that's one of the reasons why your films connect with people so much.
Well, thank you. I mean, I did this. I curated a little program at Lincoln Center, and and one of the films was The Birds. Especially because of what that film does, which is so strange and so perverse. And I mean, that is maybe his most Freudian film, but then or Marnie, or I could just keep going. But so it's one of his most Freudian films.
Okay, so he's literally just invoking Freud here.
Army, or I could just keep going. But so it's one of his most Freudian films. But I love that film too because the mother is like the covert star of that film, and
Kind of like Beau.
and the birds, they don't really start attacking until like an hour into the film. Like they're clearly coming out of the neuroses of all of those characters. But yeah, there is a real, there are certain shots that I think about in The Birds, like when she enters the house and it's been kind of battered, and then she enters in profile in kind of a medium wide shot, and then and there's space outside of her on the left, and then she sees these teacups that have been shattered. And
I love it. Like it's so great listening to people, listening to filmmakers talk about film, because it is always just kind of like, it is like that. They talk about like the space within the frame and shit like that. I love that high level talk, dude. I could fucking eat that shit for breakfast if it was possible. Let me see. Okay, let's get back to the video here.
camera pushes in without losing her, and just loses the extra space to the side of her and to the side of the teacup, or the teacups. I don't know but it's just it's a very intuitive thing to do, and there's nothing before that to tell him that it'll work. And think like there's a lot of that in his films that that just burn themselves into your memory, because they're very much they feel like,
you know what, that is all great, but I think what I really need is just this part right here.
maybe his most Freudian film, but then or Marnie, or I could just keep going. But so it's one of his most Freudian films. But I love that film too because the mother is like the covert star of that film, and
Look how he's looking out in the audience.
bird
He said that. It's so funny. He invoked Freud, then he said the mother is the star of the picture. Then he just looked right out into the audience after that. That's so crazy. Let me see. I lost my spot here. I think I'm gonna say wait for the other guy to start talking. Yeah, here we go.
To get at some very sick and perverse things. This was sort of the original. So anyway, we could talk about Hitchcock all night. I want to get back to the movie. I want to talk about casting of this movie. This has one of those casts that when somebody shows up, the audience reacts. You can tell whenever Nathan Lane first shows up, the audience has a response.
That was a great.
These are really eccentric, interesting choices. So can you talk a little bit about the casting of the film?
Yeah, well,
Outside of Joaquin, we'll get back to Joaquin.
well, it's a comedy, and it was written as a comedy, and so when you're casting
Written as a comedy,
a lot of your thinking comes down to who like when this character enters the room, like Roger, who makes me laugh. And it took a while to realize, oh, it's Nathan Lane, but then it was like so clear. And I mean, in the case of Parker Posey, she's just somebody I've always wanted to work with, and I wrote that with her in mind. As far as Patti LuPone is concerned, like I just knew that the appearance of the mother kind of had to be had to
Oh, he was
function
great,
as, like, a punchline.
He's really good in the Only Murders in the Building too.
And there were a few actors that really worked in my head, but she when that occurred to me, that really made me laugh. And there's a video of her on a red carpet somewhere, and I forget what exactly is exchanged, but she's talking about Trump, and then she said something about Trump, and then the reporter says why, and then she like takes the microphone because I fucking hate him. Oh, that's Beau's mom. So it was very clear.
For me, it was there's that recording of her stopping the show. And
who do you think you are?
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard this. You can find this. Patty LuPone is in the middle of a scene on Broadway. Somebody's phone goes off in the audience. She stops the show. She points at that person, starts screaming at him, and says, "Who do you think you are?" This is why when I heard she was in this movie, it's like, this is perfect.
Yeah, that's what she's doing to Beau.
Again, dude, every time he says something like that, there's always like an awkward pause, like he's not sure if he should have said that.
But it was just said,
I was just, oh, on Broadway, somebody's phone goes off.
Okay, so let's go back just a little bit further.
You can find this. Patty LuPone is in the middle of the scene on Broadway.
All right, so that's going in. Oh shit, what'd I do? Okay, there you go.
She's doing to Beau.
Now I want to make sure that I got that.
Says, who do you think you are? This is why when I heard she was in this movie, it's like, this is perfect.
Yeah, that's what she's doing to Beau.
Okay, that's fucking great.
Stopping the performance.
Yeah, and just railing into him. Yeah,
Give me just
no.
a second here, guys.
And so, but I
Oh, sorry about that, guys. I thought I heard my phone go off. Let's continue on here.
It did occur. We hired a casting director who worked in theater. We hired Jim Carnahan, who works at the Roundabout Theater, because I knew early on that I liked the idea of casting theater actors more than film actors, especially because Beau's world is so kind of, it's not real, like none of these people are real.
Oh,
And there's like they're in there.
interesting.
Especially because Beau's world is so kind of, it's not real, like none of these people are real, and there's like there's sort of a polish to the performances that I wanted, and an eccentricity, and naturalism was not the thing, and stage acting felt right. With Beau, it was very important that be grounded and real and like vulnerable.
You want to say something, Daria? You want to say something? Come on. Sorry, guys. She wants to go for a. I'm not gonna spell. I'm gonna say it because she'll go crazy. But a WALK. I'll take you one when I'm done. I'm almost done here, dude. Just a little patient. Eat your food. All right, let's continue watching this.
And exposed and like he's our surrogate through this world that is so heightened that it can it kind of the opposite thinking went into casting Beau and then the world around Beau.
Well,
Okay, so that's yeah. I think that's pretty much the same thing as how does this? Do those line up? No, they don't. Okay. I wish you guys could see my dog right now. She's just she's just like pawing at me. Dude, she is such a spoiled dog. Dude, I feel bad for this dog. This is the most spoiled dog on the planet right here. He need to chill, dude. He need to chill out. All right, let's keep watching here while I pet my dog.
well, let's talk about Beau. Let's talk about Joaquin Phoenix. It's an extraordinary performance and extraordinarily committed. What was the process of working with him? I assume that the two of you must have had a lot of conversations and your own special sort of relationship before shooting began because you're so completely connected with him. So how did you create this character with him?
Okay. Well, I'll leave that in for now.
It was really it was really a matter of just reading through the script a lot. We would read over it, and it would often just be about, okay, so what is the behavior? Like how do these feelings like manifest? And it's very hard for me to like trace exactly what those
Oh shit.
or what the conversations were, but I remember that we
I hate when this fucking thing does that. All right.
spent a lot of time poring over the script over and over again. It came out a few weeks early before we started shooting. Every day we spent at least 4 hours, I would say, just going through the script, going through it, talking through it. And then
honestly, dude, that's what I miss most about making movies, man. That is what I miss the most about making movies is working with actors. Like when you write something, when you write a character, it's your baby. You write it however you want, but it's like you give that to someone else and they just show you a bunch of stuff about this character that you never would have thought of. Like that is what I miss the most about making movies is just working with like people who and then I think that was the cool thing. A lot of people that I worked with like were just stoked to be working on a movie, and so like just brought their fucking A game. Like I'm so thankful for everyone that I've worked with, man. I just want to work with more people, to be honest, on that fucking level. By the way, I just got a job offer for like a big, substantial like step up in my career, so I might actually be able to put some money away to make like a real like $30,000-$50,000 movie soon. I fucking cannot wait. Hopefully I get this job. I stopped smoking weed for a reason.
yeah, it and a lot of time went into the look, like what his hair was, what his
BJ's,
just what the physicality was, what his clothes were. Yeah.
So can you and in terms of clothes, like how did you happen upon
okay, let's see watching.
The costumes for Beau? They're very monochromatic.
Yeah.
First of all.
Yeah. Well, yeah, blue is his color.
Blue is his color.
Yeah, I mean,
Blue is afraid.
He's a little boy, and so the clothes were always big, very baggy. But I mean, the clothes keep changing, right? Like at first he's in his clothes, which are kind of like the clothes of a little boy, and then he's given the family pajamas. He's an honorary Stanwyck. That's their last name. And then
I thought it was Wasserman, Mona Wasserman, right? That's interesting.
you know, he goes to the play and they dress him up.
Thank you.
as
No,
the
I cannot be
hero.
more excited, dude. It's and
so for me, there's been very
like if I get
perverse
this
about it.
job, guys, if I get this job, I'm gonna be building trailers for the military. Like I'm legitimate military like contract work and shit. Like I'm actually kind of stoked about that. The pay's really fucking good.
Wearing the clothes of play in that final scene, right? Where because the play is all about what could happen if you.
The theatrical aspect's really interesting because the movie kind of sort of ends on a stage, right? Like on a sort of stage. That's fucking interesting.
Could change, and you can't.
I think we should take some questions from the audience. I know I want to make sure to give some people a chance. Maybe right here.
Okay. I think they're gonna cut off there, unfortunately. I don't think there's not a whole lot of video left here.
Oh, we do not have a mic, correct? We do not have a mic. So just project
the question briefly.
But yes, 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 exactly.
Hi. Wow. First time, lots to unpack. It was amazing. My question is, when Beau wakes up in the forest after being knocked out from the ankle.
Oh.
I swear I saw a person wearing a penguin costume in a tree. Did I see that?
Can everybody?
They cut it off, man. They cut it off. I would have loved to seen some more of that shit. And I was gonna watch one more thing here, but it is getting late, and my dog is bugging. She's not dogging, she's bugging. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this. It's been a lot of fun. I'm probably gonna be doing this more with the Beau video essay, just because like I'm gonna fucking put some work into it. Honestly, I have to, because if I do get this job, that's gonna be, I'm gonna be devoting a lot more time to that. So I'm not gonna have as much time to make videos. So I'm hoping this is gonna be like a big one, you know. So yeah. What else? Yeah. So what else should I talk about here? Oh, you know what? Let's do one more thing. Let's do one more thing before we go, because Shyamalan has a new movie coming out. I haven't seen the trailer yet. I do want to check it out before we go here. Oh, yep, here we go. Trap. Let's see. Okay, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and just bring the thing over here really quick. Stop screen, present, share screen. Here we go. Okay, yeah, let's check this out here.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Lady Raven.
Hurry, come on.
Wait. I got time my shoes.
No dad jokes. This is serious.
No, they say it's like a studio movie, but I'm sorry, this looks like indie film.
Lady Raven.
Hurry, come on.
Wait. I got time my shoes.
No dad jokes. This is serious. Come on.
I'm sorry. Lady Raven.
Save me from myself.
This is interesting, man. This is interesting, like an interesting movie, because Shyamalan has been self-financing his own stuff for a while now. And you can tell there's a lot of unhinged Shyamalanism in his later works. So now that he's kind of back under the control of the studio, this is going to be a fascinating shift. I think a very slight shift, but an interesting one.
Slap dad.
These seats slap, Dad.
Thank you. Thank you. This is literally the best day of my life.
You know what? That sounds like it would be an actual pop song, though. That doesn't sound like some cheap fucking royalty-free shit. That sounds like it would be a pop song.
Hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. I can leave you here in the seat.
I'm good, Dad.
Oh shit, that's Josh Hartnett. I just recognized him.
Right? Cooper. Jamie. What's with all the police trucks outside? The cameras everywhere, Jamie. I'm not supposed to tell. Something happening? Don't rat me out. I won't. You know the butcher? The freaking nut job that goes around just chopping people up? Well, the feds or whatever heard that he's gonna be here.
Dude, I want to do what Shyamalan is doing. He's just having fun, bro. He is just like making shit that is just like a entertaining time for him. Like this does not like this. Let's face it, this sounds like a Shyamalan script already. But it just seems like fun. I'm already just digging the vibes of this.
Here today, so they set up a trap for him. This whole concert, it's a trap. They're watching all the exits, they're checking everyone that leaves. There's no way to get out of here.
Oh, this might be the August surprise. I love August is my favorite month when it comes to movies because there's always a movie in August that everybody underestimates and then blows everyone away. Right? It always happens in August. So whenever something comes up in August, it's like a nominee that could be that movie. And I would love it. I would love it for Shyamalan to have that because I mean Shyamalan's had like a comeback in a lot of ways, but only amongst like real movie freaks. You know, I think this could be a good comeback for him in the mainstream.
I see you. Dad.
What?
I'm sorry, Riley. What was that?
Never ready for it. Love myself in your day.
You know, it's Shyamalan, so he's gonna do some stuff with like the music and the editing together. I think that's gonna be really interesting. Oh, there's that. In the world of M. Night Shyamalan. Okay, so this is gonna be a sequel to Glass.
Your daughter's never gonna forget this day.
Wait, is it already there? Is that already because the butcher sounds like a comic book villain, right? Yeah, because like Glass ended with like the family of the previous superheroes taking on like the Thing, right? This could, I mean, it could be. It would be interesting if it is.
It's kind of dope, right?
That looks great, man. That looks great. But you have to find a way to let you down in the end. That being said, yeah, same here. I would happily go watch every Shyamalan movie. And you're right. Did you guys hear my dog? She's like, dude. All right. I say you finish this story here. I'm almost done here. Yeah, you know, like when I watched Old, that movie was like not like the movie Whiplash, but like the feeling Whiplash, because like one scene would be genuinely phenomenal, like a really well written, well directed scene, and then the next scene is like Tommy Wiseau. It was just like so back and forth. Like there was times where like it legitimately reminded me of like Andrei Tarkovsky, and then the next scene was like something out of Birdemic, and I was just like, I mean, you cannot deny the unique experience of that, of a director who has the capacity of greatness but chooses to be mostly bad. Well, yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for today. My dog, as you guys can hear, is bugging. So I'm gonna go ahead and be taken off here. Thank you all once again for hanging out and watching this with me. Until next time, I've been Ed. You guys have been awesome. Peace out.
Thank you.